Welcome to the Books Between Friends podcast.
3 lifelong friends,
one shared obsession.
Books.
From epic fantasy to page-turning thrillers.
We dive into the stories we love
And the ones we just can't stop talking about.
So take a seat,
Grab a drink,
and get cozy.
Hey, book friends, welcome back. Speaking of cozy, what's making you guys feel cozy these days? So for me, it's been 2 different things for me. Okay. So the first one, I forgot to mention in our last episode that previous weekend I had gone to Fort Worth to go see my little niece who just turned 2. So I went to go see her, and Stephanie actually got to meet her for the first time. So that was really cool. I was really excited. She was being really shy, really chiflada, but still, we had such a great time with her. And then this past weekend, I got to see my other niece. We went to do like a fall festival type thing. It turned out to be a bust, but we actually had a lot of fun, like on our way home. And we're watching movies together. And so I've just had a really great time seeing both of my nieces. Like, I feel like it always just makes me so cozy when I'm with them. So that was one thing, but I have to mention this other thing because I have been like so excited about it. I got a new reading chair for my room and it is amazing. It's big and cozy and it looks like a second bed, y'all.
Oh my God.
That's what I said when you sent me the picture. I'm like, it's about as big as the bed.
Yeah.
Is it like one of those fluffy ridged ones?
Yes, one of the big
Yeah.
ones. Yep.
Yes.
I got it for my birthday. My parents sent me the money to buy my chair. They know I've been wanting a reading chair for forever. And so I finally got to set it up this weekend. And let me tell y'all, that was so hard. It was compressed, rolled up. And that
That's
was
so
really
insane. Like, how did they even do that?
It was so hard. I couldn't even open the box, first of all, and then I couldn't take the wrapper off because it kept saying don't use scissors. It said to wrap
my
it,
gosh.
like unwrap it yourself. So
Ugh.
I took some content for that, so I cannot wait to show that to you
Can't
guys,
wait to
'cause
see
it's
that.
so funny.
Oh
me
my
That's gonna be so
struggling.
funny.
And at
Yeah.
one point, I even sit back and I'm like, I'm just mad because I can't get my chair out.
I can see it now, like how you get frustrated.
The high price of reading and relaxation.
Yeah.
And then as soon as it was like unraveled, I can just see it starting to flop up. I'm like, oh, I was like, okay, stand back, stand back.
It's happening. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
So that's what's kept me cozy these past few weeks. Been loving my nieces, time with them, and then I get my new chair. I'm so excited to finally
Yay.
lay down on it. So, what about you guys?
I'm so jealous of your cozy chair.
Dude,
Yeah,
it's so
for real.
good. It's so cool.
Okay. Well, for me, I've been staying cozy because I've started a new job. And
Yay!
yay, I'm so excited.
Yay, so happy for you.
Yes, learned a lot in the other job. Some people from my other job may still be listening. So hello to you. I made really great connections at that place, but just still struggling towards the end of that. And so the coziness comes from the feeling of familiarity with this new job because I made the decision to go back to the classroom,
Yay!
which I feel like I can hear like a lot of my teacher friends in the distance screaming like, don't do it. Don't do it. But I don't know. It's just one of those things that I needed to do for me. And it really was the right decision. I can just feel it in my bones. I can feel it like just with other conversations that I've been having with other people and just validation and confirmation all across the board that this was the right decision. And so I'm cozy in that. And so I'm teaching middle school science and I am loving the return to form. It's good to flex those muscles again and dust it off that I haven't used those skills in quite some time. There's no tired like teacher tired, and
Oh,
I
yeah.
am tired already. But it's a good tired. It's a tired that you've put in a solid day's work and you're
Yeah.
just exhausted by the time you come home.
Yeah. I mean,
Totally.
I don't know about people like telling you not to. Like, I saw a lot of really great responses when you posted that you were back in the classroom. Like, people were really happy for you.
Yes, they were. I don't know. You just hear like horror stories of teachers in the education system right now.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I feel like
that's
for that
true.
reason, they were probably like warning me,
Yeah.
But everything is said and done now. And like, my happiness level is pretty off the charts. So
Yeah.
I'm just excited to be back and excited to feel effective. Not that the work that I was doing earlier wasn't important,
Yeah.
because it was in its own way, but this just feels for me that I can be more effective in this type of role. And that's important, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Fulfillment
for
in
you.
your job really does make a difference, and that's
It
awesome.
truly does.
And
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
honestly, I know it's been a short amount of time, but I can almost sense like a relief from you. So I'm happy for you for that. And
Yeah.
I know that this was, not like a super long time coming, but a needed change for you. So I'm
Yeah.
happy
Yes.
for you.
Much
That's so
needed.
great.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been good.
Awesome.
Hey. Well, for me, it's just something small, but like sometimes the small things make the biggest impact.
Oh,
So my birthday's coming up in a
Yeah.
little bit, and I have gotten to see my in-laws for a couple of weekends in a row now. And one of the times I saw my sister-in-law, she actually gave me an early birthday present, and she knows that I just live in comfy sweatshirts. So she got me like a fall bookish themed comfy sweatshirt, which
Oh, I
I don't
love
have to show
that.
today because I've been wearing it like nonstop, so it's in the laundry. But yeah, like literally keeping me cozy in what I love to wear all the
I
time
love
is
that.
just a comfy sweatshirt.
So great.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait to see it. You're gonna have to send us a picture.
Yeah, I will.
Isn't it
Love it. Love it.
so strange how much of an impact just little gifts like that can make in someone's day?
Yes.
Like they just
Yeah.
go so far. I love that.
Yeah. Okay, so before we start, y'all, I have to tell you two things that happened to me, okay?
Okay.
They are related to the bewitching, but I have to tell
Oh.
y'all.
Okay.
And all you guys out there listening, like, I want to see if this is happening to y'all too. I had a terrible nightmare the other night because of this
Don't
book.
do
God.
it. Don't do it.
Y'all,
before I
I've
tell
been having
you-
dreams about it too, though. Like I
Before
I've been
texted
having
tell you.
nightmares
Yeah.
too.
Okay, hold on. Before we talk about our nightmares, because I want to freaking hear this. Just a minute ago, Ethan, when you were sharing like about the classroom, I got a notification on my watch that somebody was at my door, and it said it was my backdoor camera, right? And I looked down, and it's usually like a bee. Like usually a bee will get right in front of my camera, and like it'll trigger the alarm or whatever. So I looked down to look at the picture, and it looked like a floating man. And it was red.
No.
I clicked
Stop
on it.
it.
It was the bee though, but the way
Oh,
that
God.
it took the picture, the way it took the
Okay.
picture, it looked like a floating man. So my heart literally like was speeding
Yeah.
as you were talking about you being back in the classroom. I was like, what? What?
Oh my God, dude.
I was freaking out, you guys. So freaking out. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So my dream was I don't remember where I was, but I was trapped within my own dream. So like I was having a dream of being trapped in a dream. And the person that was trapping me in my dream was the witch from the Bewitching. And I remember trying to get out of this dream because like the longer I stayed in the dream, the more she would get me. And so if I stayed in the dream, then it gave her power to come after me. And so I kept trying to wake up, kept trying to get up, and I couldn't. Even though I knew I was stuck in this dream, I couldn't like wake up. And it was freaking me out. And I'm just like, I just want to wake up. I don't want to get bewitched.
Yeah.
That sounds almost like a form of sleep paralysis. Like
Yeah.
you're in there, but you can't like do anything.
You can't wake
Yeah.
up from it. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is why I don't watch scary
Crazy.
movies, you guys. This is why I don't watch them. Like they do get to me. Like they get to me.
I will say that, like in my older age, as I used to watch scary movies nonstop, but now
Yeah.
I can't. I can't do so much anymore. Like
I
I
know.
still love
You.
horror. I still love
Yeah.
horror. Don't get me wrong, but like I do it sparingly.
Yeah.
I
I
feel
don't
like
even
a
watch
little
them anymore.
sheepish.
Well, I still love scary movies, and
Yeah.
I don't know if that will ever taper off for me, but I've also been having dreams related to the stuff that we're reading about in this book. So when Jen told me about that, I was like, dude, me too. So the other night we were crashing on my sister-in-law's couch, which is like right by a window. And in my dream, I was like also asleep, but I kept hearing like this growling right outside the window, like right next to me. And I couldn't tell if I was actually hearing that in reality or if it was just in my dream.
Yeah.
And then later that day when we were all awake, I asked everybody who was there with us, like, did anybody hear growling outside the window? And like nobody else did.
Oh my God.
And then and then the next night, I started seeing like a green glow coming through the window.
Oh my God.
Also in my dream, though, like nobody else saw this. So I'm just like, these dreams are happening to me as I'm reading them.
Well, when we first started the book, I was reading it at night and I was in my living room and I could have swore I saw something pass by me and I turned around, nothing was there. And I'm like, fuck. I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah. And of course, as I'm reading this at night, I'm like hearing weird
I know.
noises and I'm like,
Yeah.
was that something? Was there something outside?
And
But I'm
I
just
live
being like
alone.
hypersensitive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and the great part is that, well, not great, funny, is that I'll tell Baxter, I'm like, Baxter, did you hear that? Did you hear that? And he'll like poke his head up. I'm like, go get it. And then he just goes back to sleep. I'm like, Baxter, you're supposed to protect me.
Useless.
No, okay, so I've had nightmares, but I haven't been able to remember mine. I usually do, like, I have two recurring nightmares that have happened throughout my life. One is a tornado,
Okay.
and one is where I'm like with a group of friends and we slowly like go, not missing, but like until it's just me left, right? And so that's one that I've had several times.
Vanishing.
But yeah, this one I don't remember except for like being at a door and I could hear clicking. And each time I would go out of the door, it would stop. And then as soon as I would close it and like sit back down, I forget what I was doing, but I would hear clicking again. And then I would go back out and it would stop. And it was only when I woke up, I was like, if I'm attributing it to something that we've read, it sounded like a bird pecking. And I was
Sorry.
like, and so,
My
yeah,
heart's racing,
yeah.
y'all.
So nightmares all around. Hey.
So
On that note,
I was gonna say, on that note, book friends, if you're still listening, thank you for sticking around. We are very excited to start our discussion today on part 3. And let me tell you, you guys, this one was juicy. So good. However, before we get started, I'm going to pass it over really quick to Steph for some shout outs and a quick spoiler warning.
so before we get started, spoiler warning, as always, if you're listening to this episode, we're assuming that you've read up through chapter 10 of the 1908 time period because we are going to be spoiling things for you throughout this episode. And then if you want to help our little podcast community grow, please, please, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. It really helps us grow and for other book friends to find our podcast so we can continue our discussions on social media and, outside of these episodes. We really want to hear from you guys. So on that note, we want to give a quick shout out to one of our followers on Instagram. Her handle is Gillicent or Gillicent. Her name is Jillian, and she's been interacting with us about our Bewitching episodes, which is so exciting for us. We're so glad to hear that you've been enjoying this book and following along with our podcast. Thank you so much for listening to these episodes. We can't wait to keep discussing this book with you. Please continue to let us know your thoughts. Like, this is exactly what we want to do with this podcast.
We love, love new book friends. So thank you.
Yay.
Yes, this is the exact intended purpose of our podcast. So thanks, Jillian. Hey, book friends, it's Ethan. When I think about cozy reading essentials, slippers are at the very top of the list. A while back, I got my first pair of Bombas gripper slippers, and honestly, I wasn't expecting them to feel all that different from the other brands that I'd tried. But here's the thing. These are next level. They keep my feet warm and toasty without ever looking frumpy, so I can curl up with a book feeling both cozy and stylish. Bombas just knows how to do comfort right. And the best part is that for every item you buy, they donate one to someone in need. Since we're affiliates with Bombas now, we've dropped our link right into our newsletter. So if you're ready to upgrade your cozy essentials, be sure to subscribe and check it out there. You can always find the link in our bios on all of our social media accounts. We are Books Between Friends Pod across all social media platforms. It's a small way to support the show while keeping your toes happy. Now, let's get back to the episode.
So before we get into our 3, 2, 1 discussion, because I'm like itching to get into it, let's summarize really quick where we are on each of our time periods. So this time around, a lot of our meat came from the 1908 timeline period. There are still things happening in 1998 and 1934, but a lot of the story really came from 1908. So right now, where we're at with Alba, life on the farm is getting creepy for her, you guys. And ever since her brother Tadeo disappeared, like just a lot of weird things keep happening. Animals are still dying. Chickens are not laying eggs. Like a lot of things are happening. She's seeing strange green lights outside her window. And she's having nightmares that are feeling like super real to her. Her mom, of course, is brushing everything off, but Alba knows something is not right. Then during one of her nightmares, she gets bitten, y'all, and she wakes up with a wound like right above her heart, and she freaks out. She's convinced that the witch has gotten her, that she bit her, and that the talisman in her room for her protection is not working. So when she goes to Jovita for help, she tells her there's nothing more that she can do and that she's pretty much doomed. But the person that is still willing to help her is Valentin, which, by the way, finally started to court her, or told her that he would start courting her properly. So of course they're like falling for each other, and he's honestly the only boy who's like helping her. However, poor freaking Alba cannot catch a break because tragedy strikes, and now Valentin is dead, y'all.
Poor Valentin.
I know. So by the time she finally wants to, she decides to face the witch off herself. It's kind of too late. She's been tricked by the witch, because as she's facing off this witch, y'all, it turns out that is a creature is her brother, and the freaking witch had turned her brother into this creature and tricked her into killing her own brother. So that is how the 1908 timeline period ends, you guys, and that is how our section ends. So we're going to get a lot into the discussion, but let's just talk about 1934 and 1998 really quick. So in 1934 at Stonebridge College, Jenny is continuing to fall apart. No one's taking her seriously. She insists she's being followed, that something evil is after her. But her friends and even her fiance, Edgar, like they think that she's being dramatic or she's trying to gain for attention. Even Edgar kind of thinks that maybe she's losing her mind and she's becoming mad. At one point, Edgar tries to get Betty's help to take her to a sanatorium, saying that she just needs help. He just wants her to talk to a doctor. But the more she tries to explain, the more everyone just dismisses her, like poor freaking Jenny. And more things start happening to her, like strange noises. The paths are changing over there in the college. And for a moment, Beatrice thinks that she hears something outside of the window, and she has like this really uneasy feeling, but then she quickly dismisses it. So that's 1934. In 1998, this is also getting a little juicy. So I cannot wait to see what happens and more in 1998. But we're fast forwarding to 1998 with Minerva, and she's starting to experience a lot of what was happening to Jenny in 1934. After she found the dead rat, now she has a dead cat, you guys. She's hearing creepy noises. Now she feels like someone's following her. The path at Briar Commons changes for her as well. And she just feels like she's living out this kind of horror story that she's supposed to be writing about. So she's kind of like feeling confused and tired and not understanding. She's starting to see the connections between what's happening to her and what's happening to Thomas and what happened with Beatrice. And so at the very end, she does try to tell Hideo that she thinks she's being bewitched and that she's been bewitched, but he doesn't believe her and immediately tells her that she needs to contact health services. A lot of the same thing that's happening to Jenny is now happening to Minerva. So, that's where I feel like a lot of the story is going to pick up in our last section. But let's talk about what is happening now. And now let's dive into our 3, 2, 1. So 3 things that stuck out to us. I kind of have a lot. So you guys, stop me if I start rambling. But one of the things that really stuck out to me are Alba's dreams. So she had 2 that turned out to be true. And they're both extremely creepy too. So I'm just like, ugh. And it made me think back to what Jovita was saying in our last episode when we talked about this, where she told Alba that Alba has visions. So she said, you dream and you glimpse things that will be, and sometimes you see things that have happened. It's a gift. So that's a power, right? She could see what's happening, and she kind of proved it with how she described exactly how Valentin died. She went into specific detail, and she knew that something was wrong immediately on the day that he died. And then with her own dream where she got bitten, at first when she woke up, she thought it was just a dream until she saw the bite on her neck. She was like, oh shit, that actually happened to me. And just put two and two together. So that's really going to tie into my second point here in a minute, because I kind of made a connection with Alba and Minerva. But what did you guys think about her dreams and like her visions and things like that? Do you think it's going to come in handy in section 4?
Yeah, I think definitely this gift that she has with the visions is something that she needs to pay more attention to. I think she's noticing now that these are like after Jovita explained to her that this is her gift, is these visions in her dreams. She's noticing that it's true, but I think she needs to pay attention more, and that's hopefully gonna, get her out of this curse that she's under. So yeah, I think you're definitely on the right track with that. And there have been other dreams, so I'm like, we need you to like hone in on these dreams and like figure it out, because shit's hitting the fan right now.
Yeah. I was gonna say, do you think that she'll be able to predict it? Like if she focuses on trying to maybe make a vision come, like kind of like an oracle, right? Like
Possibly
trying to see ahead, maybe. Because right now it's either
I don't know if that's how it works.
It already happened.
It's
Right.
reactionary for her. Yeah. I
Yeah.
don't know. This whole section threw me off because I was on the trail that Valentine was the Teloquani. And I can't shake the feeling that he's still somehow, like, he's dead, but
Right.
I still feel like he might have been involved in somehow, some fashion. I don't know.
Leave him alone.
Was he just a good guy?
Well, we thought that
Maybe.
Dale was dead.
I know.
Right?
So
Well,
like
Ethan didn't. Ethan didn't think he was dead. He even questioned if he got turned into something. Because remember,
Yeah.
Alba
did,
was
yeah.
dead set on the fact that she was like, he's still alive. I can feel it.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So
So I don't know. It
knows?
still reads a little suspicious to me because it happened very suddenly. Unless you weren't suspecting Valentine, then you automatically might assume that he would be the one that died. Because honestly, that is the character that dies in a scary movie. The one that's pining after the
Right.
main character. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
usually,
Well,
yeah.
and I think
it
too,
did
like-
take me off guard that he died.
Yes.
Yeah, I did not see that coming whatsoever. Yeah.
Nope. I sure didn't.
But it kind of goes along with what Jovita said, because Jovita, like, literally whenever they went to her for help, she was like, y'all need to get out. Like, this is a strong presence here. Like, the more we talk, then it's going to come after me. And so I kind of feel
Yeah.
like that's what happened with Valentin, because he was willing to help her. He was the only one willing to help her. So
Yeah.
it went after him, So
Right.
that's what I think about Valentin's death. I don't think he was involved at all. I still think it's Uncle Arturo, but I'll talk about it later whenever we get to our character
Okay.
moments. So that was the first thing. And this ties into the second thing, because I'm going back to like Alba has powers, right? She has these visions. So the other thing that stood out to me was the mention of colors. And I'm actually wearing a red shirt, not on purpose. It just happened to be that way. Yeah. But the mention of red and green got brought
like
up
looking
here
at mine.
specifically. And it immediately stood out to me because it started happening with Minerva too. So with Alba, it happened a lot. So there was a mention of a green light. She talked about seeing a green mist coming from a tree. And it was right outside her window. And she even recalled that she knew what that glow was. It was the glow of a witch. So she knows that that's signaling that a witch is there, right? And so she says that the light made her think of diseased flesh of rot and decomposition. Okay. So that was the mention of green. And then I got mentioned again whenever she was trying to capture the creature who ended up being Tadeo. She talked about glowing green eyes, and that when the creature turned back into Tadeo, the green eyes dimmed away. So he was under obviously the witch's curse whenever the witch turned him into that creature.
Yeah.
Then red got mentioned several times. So the first time it got brought up was when she was having that dream right before she got bitten. She said the pain spread down her belly. She screamed and tried to fling the phantom off, but the needle sank in, pinning her down. The room had turned into a splash of vermilion, the color suffocating her. So I had to look up what vermilion was because I didn't know that was red, but it's a shade of red.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it happens again when she's thinking about Valentin. And this is when she remembers the dream of him. Because, like, she vaguely remembers the dream. And she was like, I don't know why, but I just remember being really sad. And then
Yeah.
she couldn't
she woke
remember it
up.
though. But when she saw the splash of red, she knew immediately something was wrong. So she
Mhm.
said she bent down to pick up a pillowcase, and when she looked up, the world turned into a dark splash of red. The clouds that
Mhm.
drifted in the distance were tinted crimson. Even her hands, when she looked at them, were painted a terrible shade of vermilion. Something terrible was going to happen. She could feel it. And so I made a connection with Minerva when she was with Noah in the factory. There was like one sentence there that really stood out to me, and it said the sight of the red fibers made her want to recoil. Something in the color triggered a sense of revulsion that she couldn't explain. And that exact morning she woke up with her own portent, thinking that something bad was going to happen. So obviously the red is signifying that something bad's going to happen, but the connection I wanted to make was that Minerva, I think, might have the same kind of powers that Alba has, and she might be able to have visions as well if the colors are affecting her this way.
Mhm. So, okay, one of my things is also the colors. And so I'll go ahead and like add in my 2 cents here. I have more to add revolving around the colors.
Okay.
So I think it connects to the progression of the curse because at first Alba was seeing a lot of green and she was mentioning the green, leading up to the point where she got bitten and then she started seeing red. And then Minerva is
point.
actually seeing green more often,
Mm-hmm.
almost like it's leading up to then she sees the red. So she saw green first on the walls of the factory.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they visited the factory again, she mentions that there's a stained glass window that was green, that was like casting the whole room in this green glow.
Oh, that's right.
And
She
then
did.
Interesting.
and then when she's lost on the path that keeps changing around and she's lost, can't find her way, she mentions the green canopy of trees above the path.
Okay.
So right now, I think she's in the early stages of this curse. And similar to when Alba was in the early stages, she was seeing green.
Mm-hmm.
And then she started seeing red after she got bitten. So I think it's leading up to that fever pitch whenever the witch finally gets what they're needing, either blood or hair. You know how Jovita said,
Yeah,
don't let
yeah.
them get nail clippings or something from you because then
Yeah.
they trap you.
Well, because immediately when she saw the first red, it was attacking her, and then when she saw the
Right.
second red, it was right when Valentin was like he was dead. He was
Either
dying.
dead or about to die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the minute she got back to the farm to go ask about Valentin, Mrs. Molina even said, "Oh, he just died like half an hour
He
ago."
just died.
Yeah.
And she had just seen that red and she was feeling like, oh my gosh, something's happening.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So,
Interesting. I
yeah.
did not put that together. I picked up on color. I didn't necessarily pick up on the progression. I think that's really
I think
interesting.
you're right. Yeah. I think
Yeah,
you're
it's
right.
like green is like not safe zone, but it's the beginning stages,
Yeah,
and then as you
yeah.
progress, we're
Like-
getting to red.
You're the target and then they've trapped you or they've ensnared you.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So those two things really stuck out to me because it's really kind of playing into my prediction, which I will obviously share once we get there. But there's a lot of similarity between Minerva and Alba, which makes sense. They're family, right?
Yeah.
But if she's being revulsed by this color, that's going to play into maybe she also can have visions. Maybe now she's going to start having visions if we're talking about the progression of things, right? Yeah. Okay, the last one was just like a tiny little tidbit. It's not really anything. It was just more bringing it up. But I noticed the whole I noticed Briar's Common is like the place that they keep staring at whenever we're talking about Stone Ridge College. And
Right.
it's a lot of
Yeah.
where the creepy stuff is happening, and the changing of the past that's happened to Minerva now. It's starting to happen to her, like it happened to Jenny, where she was getting lost in circles because the path kept changing on her. It wouldn't let her go home, you know? And so it's just a lot of like the same things happening. It's just really creepy. The only thing I just wanted to bring up here is that like it reminds me of Cameron Park.
Yeah.
So have you guys ever been to Cameron Park, and have y'all been to the witch's house there?
So I've never been to the witch's house, but I remember like talk about it, and then like one time, I don't know if we went with you, Jen, but like a group of us at night were being stupid. We're like, oh, let's go to Cameron Park at night and see if we can find the witch.
Oh, I was there. Yeah, we were there. It was me,
Okay,
you,
yeah.
Rebecca, Jesus,
Yes,
right?
that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah. So my dad
Oh
used
my
to take us
God.
there as kids, and we would go at night. And it was only when my grandma from Mexico would come visit because she wanted to go see it too. And so we would chase owls around, waiting for them to transform into witches, y'all. We were stupid. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. But all the paths, like at night, were like in my head, I was thinking like it kind of reminded me of what they're talking about with Briar's Common and like the changing paths and stuff. I'm just like, what was I thinking chasing after these witches? Like, what am I doing?
And for those who don't know about Cameron Park, just to like give y'all a little bit of context behind it, Cameron Park actually has the largest system of trails
Mm-hmm.
in a municipal park next to only Central Park in New York City. So it's a large municipal park with a lot of trails, and like at night it's spooky, ooky, kooky stuff.
Yeah,
Yes,
very,
it's-
very.
But
Yeah.
it's a great park to go to if you like hiking and biking and trail walking.
Yeah.
So don't knock Cameron Park. Maybe just go during the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, go during the day. Go during the day.
Yeah.
And don't go chasing owls. What was I doing?
Yeah, especially
Don't
after
look for the
reading The
witch's
Bewitching.
house.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. No.
I'm so glad you brought up Briar's Commons though, because I feel like this has been on all of our radar. We just actually
Yeah.
haven't mentioned Briar's Commons.
True.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the name, okay, so the name Briar, right, resembles like a briar patch, circular, like thorny, and which
Okay,
is
yeah.
indicative of what we're seeing on the cover of this book.
Right.
So
Oh,
Briar's Commons is probably
Yeah.
going to become important. We're going to be investigating in this place. Yeah.
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 Well,
And so I feel like
kept
that's
thinking
probably where our
that.
story's going to end, you know?
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Or at least it's going to be important here at the last section.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if this is where all the witchiness is happening or if it's actually a sanctuary because of the shapes that briars take, right? Circular that we were talking about, like the witch
okay.
marks that protect.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It could go either way here.
Yeah, because
Okay.
like literally 1934 chapter, Jenny's always looking at Briar's Common. They're always talking about Briar's
Right.
Commons. And even Minerva brings it up whenever she's like talking about it. So I'm like, why haven't we brought
And
this
is-
up yet? It's
Is
literally
that the dorm where
common.
Thomas disappeared from? Or was that
No,
Joy's
that's-
house? Hers is Joy's house, right?
Yeah,
that,
hers is
'cause
Joy's house.
that's Conrad's room.
I don't know that it's a dorm. I think it's just a building.
Okay.
I thought it was a
Right?
dorm.
I
It could
thought so,
be.
too.
Because she was talking about doing rounds at the beginning, and
Yeah.
it made it sound
And
like
she's
Briar's Commons
over
was like
a
a
couple-
derelict building.
Yeah,
okay.
she's over a couple different buildings because it's the summer term. So usually she's only over Joy's house where she lives.
Okay.
But during the summer they don't have as many students, so they like give some of the other house, what do they call them? They're RAs, but I can't remember what the actual terms.
Resident,
resident-
assistant.
Resident.
The resident, yeah. Yeah, that's what she is in
Yeah.
in
Yes.
her college. And so that's why she does these rounds. And Briar's Common, I think, is
Yeah.
one of the ones she's in charge of.
Right. So maybe not derelict like I was saying, but it's empty right now because it's the summer term. And so
Yeah.
she's not made ventures there while we've been reading it.
And did they mention early on that it's like under renovations or something like that? So that's also part of it.
I feel
I think
like
so.
something like that.
Yeah, I think you're right. So
Yeah.
something definitely happened in 1934 for it to be that way in 1998. So,
Right.
and I feel like 1934 hasn't given us as much as I thought it was going to give us. Like right now, we're
Mm-hmm.
getting a lot of the witchy stories from 1908, which I'm loving. But like, I think
Yeah.
everything's gonna like come, to its final end in 1934,
Mm-hmm.
finally in section
Mm-hmm.
4. Because like we really haven't gotten a lot from that besides Ginny going mad.
No, I think
Well, the difference in the
1934 is strictly there just for us to fill in and can make connections. I think
okay,
Okay.
yeah,
that's the purpose it
yeah.
serves.
And I
Okay.
think the difference in that timeline is that Minerva and Alba's timelines are from their perspectives, and they're both cursed.
Right.
And then the 1934 timeline is from an outsider's perspective, witnessing
Hmm.
someone else going through the curse.
True.
So we
Yeah.
don't
And that's what
see
helps us
like
make those
everything that
connections
they're
too.
experiencing. Hmm.
Very true. Very true. All right, you guys, that was my 3 points. A lot, like, I wrote down a lot more, but I'm not going to read every single quote I put down. But that's like, there was just a lot that happened. And honestly, it was
Yeah.
hard for me to pinpoint what I wanted to talk about.
Hmm. Yeah, no, fair. There's so much going on right now, and like
Yeah.
a lot of questions still unanswered. So, you know, it's
I
like
got more
endless amounts of things
questions
we can
in this
discuss.
section
Yeah.
than I did answers. Like I started asking more
Totally.
questions.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, even my character
S-
moments are long because there's like a lot to talk about these characters.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like unclear what's really going on still. So,
Yeah.
a lot of stuff to dig into. So, I already brought up my thing with the colors when Jen was talking about it. So, that was just my addition to that, is that I think that it's more of signifying the progression of a curse or a bewitching based on the colors that they're seeing at that time. And then my second thing is about Minerva's headaches. I think that this might be her gift. Like maybe, Alba gets the dreams and that's how
Mhm.
she has this like gift of vision. But Minerva's headaches seem to happen right before she experiences one of these creepy things. Like right before she got lost on the path, right before the rat showed up on her kitchen table, right before she was noticing there was like this presence outside of her dorm. So like she's getting these headaches more and more lately. So I think that this is how her gift manifests.
Well,
Interesting.
that's a good point because, like, she has been talking a lot about how run down she feels, but maybe it's
Hmm.
not that she's feeling. She's feeling like that something is awakening in her because of all this
Yeah,
happening.
yeah. And
Interesting.
it
Yeah.
manifests differently than it did for Alba.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the headaches is also one of mine. So I'm
Mm.
going to just add because they did stick out to me. But what I couldn't tell is did we read at some point that I feel like we did? It could be a completely different book, but I
Mm.
feel like there was something that mentioned that headaches were a sign that, like, I feel like maybe it was a discussion that they were having with Hovita, and she was like, if you're, getting headaches, then it's a sign that, bewitching is upon you or something like that.
Specifically,
I
it
don't remember that
definitely
either.
could.
But it was like a fleeting moment, and I just
Uh-huh.
remember, I don't know, but I can't tell if it's like you were saying, if it's a sign of being bewitched or if it is something manifesting in her. Like I didn't even think about that. So
Okay.
that's an interesting take.
I thought maybe it was just her version of a gift somehow. Like that's how she can sense a bewitching or a curse or something.
Could be.
Yeah.
And then my next thing was this talk of familiars. And again, it's just so fleeting, but I like it's
I'm
been
so glad you
mentioned a
brought it
couple
up.
times now.
Yeah.
But again, it's just like peppered, like maybe a part of a sentence or in just one sentence, and then we move on and nothing more is said about it. But it's been coming up.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk about this like concept of the familiars. In Minerva's research, she's learning about familiars, and she's the one bringing up that like it seems typically animals like the quote is toads, cats, and dogs can become this thing called familiars, and it sounds like what Jovita was saying about the minions when Valentin took Alba to Los Pinos. And this is around the same time that Karnstein goes missing, the stray cat that she's been feeding. And then Karnstein turns up dead on her porch, but just briefly, because then Hideo comes over and she's like, "Oh my gosh, Karstein's dead," but then he's gone. Even the dead carcass is no longer on the porch when
Yeah.
she brings Hideo over. So I'm wondering if, like, one, I'm like, okay, has Karnstein been turned into a familiar? And is it like the minions that Jovita was talking about in Los Pinos? So, and I'm like, what's the purpose of familiar? Like, what? There's not really a lot more to it than that, but I'm like, okay, now we need to pay attention more to not even just the birds, but the other animals surrounding this story, you know? What do you guys think?
Well, I'm going to add my 2 cents here too, because it kind of ties into one of my points. And my
Okay.
point was talking about Tadeo. And
Okay.
I was like, man, that's kind of heartbreaking, right? Like he was turned into this creature, right? So for me, I was like, was Tadeo a familiar? Like, was he turned into a familiar? Because I couldn't tell like where this was going, if familiars and minions are the same thing or if they're separate, right? So this is just one of those additional questions that I got after reading this section, because it's not
Mhm.
clear, because I feel like minions were talked about at the beginning of the book in 1908 timeline, and now we're talking
Right.
about familiars. So do we just have a name for it now in the 1998 timeline and they're the same, or are they truly different? Because if she has these portents, right, that would
Mhm.
imply that she's witchy on some level.
Yeah.
So was
Right.
Karnstein her familiar without even recognizing it?
Okay, so
Okay.
I wrote down this quote. I'm going to read it to y'all. There's two different quotes on the cat thing, and I couldn't decide if that was one of my 3 points because I really wanted it to be, but I also had other things I wanted to bring up. So, it's just I'm telling you just so much. Okay, so the first time it gets brought up, it's in chapter 8 of the 1998 timeline, and she briefly reads something. She's looking at the book, A History of Witchcraft Lore, and she reads a section on the animals, and this is before she reads about the familiar thing. So it says dried cats might be found under roof spaces and floors, often posed as if they were hunting for mice. Margaret Howards indicates that the cats were used as luck bringers or as sacrifices to protect against magic and pestilence. So that was the first thing she read about that, about cats. And then the second thing was on the familiars. And so the quote is, familiars were thought to do the bidding of witches. When associated with cunning fold, they had a more benevolent purpose. While they often manifested as animals, they might also appear human. Such demonic familiars could remain invisible to everyone but the witch. So I think that you're right that maybe Minerva is a little witchy like her grandmother. And I think that the cat was there to protect her. That's why it died first, because the witch went after the familiar first, like went after. But
To
then it
get rid of
says,
it.
right, to get rid of the protection. Yeah.
Right.
And so, but then it's also
I
saying how
remember that now that
familiar
you read it, that it was that cats were like the symbol of like
protection.
warding
Yeah.
off
Yeah.
magic, like evil magic.
And so now it's dead. So now, she has no more protection. But I'm wondering about the whole familiar thing. So now I'm wondering if she took her cat and turned it into one of her minions. Because just like she took Tadeo and turned it into one of her creatures, like,
Yeah.
anyways, creepy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's unclear because like
It's still unclear. Yeah.
both of these things kind of give conflicting information about what these animals might be.
Exactly, because the
So,
second one says that they do the bidding of witches. So, and then but the
right.
first one talks about protection. So I'm like, which one is it, you guys?
Which
Like,
is it?
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, is the human form that's invisible, is that the only one that's demonic? And then these other ones are more benevolent in nature? Like, it was hard to tell because it seemed to switch on a dime in that same sentence. I was like, wait,
Yeah.
what?
Right. What is it
Yeah.
though? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So my 3, we've already talked about a couple. One was the headaches, and then the next was Tadeo specifically, and what his purpose actually was by the witch. Because, I mean, to your point that you made earlier, Jen, in one of our, I think it was the first episode, that his pattern, or no, it was the second one, because his pattern did not fit, and that's right.
Right.
His pattern didn't fit because he was used for a different kind of purpose. And so that begs the question, in the later timelines, who has been taken and used in a similar fashion? So maybe Thomas, who's missing, is actually the one haunting Minerva, or similar to Jenny, because I think even Jenny mentions she sees like green in certain places. And so who's doing that to her?
Mm-hmm.
But it's really interesting. You were going to say something. Go ahead.
Yeah, I had a thought. So, okay. So you were talking about the timelines, and you were talking about maybe being taken to be turned into, what they used the veil for, right? Remember the blacklist that Noah mentioned about all the disappearances that Edgar and Beatrice were tracking? What if all those disappearances were turned into those creatures?
Well, this is getting into my prediction or theory for later.
Because I wanted to talk about the blacklist,
I think
but
there's
again,
something there. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was
and I'm
really,
wondering
that
if
was
all of
interesting.
those disappearances maybe happen during a time when there's not as many students on campus, right? Where Briar's Commons may be vacant. So that would be interesting to find out as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so those are my first two. Then the third one that stuck out to me was the cat specifically, and I have like a little more in depth because
Okay.
I couldn't tell what was going on with it. Like, it was driving me crazy. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Because she touches the cat, the cat's corpse, right? And she touches it where it looks like the head was pretty much snapped, and it's going the complete opposite direction.
The opposite direction. Yeah.
And so she touches that spot in particular, and she feels like a blinding pain in her head. And so I was like, that seems voodoo-like. So has someone bewitched the cat in order to make her, because that led up to her, like the whole time she was talking about before leading up to the cat, her head felt like it was about to explode. Yeah. And I was like, well, considering the way that the cat was found, that wouldn't, like, that would track, if it's twisted completely around. That would make my head feel like it was about to explode.
Like going more along the lines of voodoo, now I'm thinking like all these headaches that she was sensing, was it her sensing the pain the cat was going through whenever this was happening to it?
Because the cat should be protecting her, right?
Yeah, and if it is her familiar without her even knowing yet, maybe there's a bond there that she feels everything that the cat is feeling on a subdued level, like that. It could, I don't know. I feel like that's probably like a little bit of our fantasy side of each of us, like, oh, there's a bond there, and she feels it.
It's her familiar. Yeah.
Well, because okay, so it says it right here. It says she bent down and touched its head, and she felt a violent twitch on the nape of her neck, as if she had been hit with an object and leaped back. Yeah. So like, I think you're on.
So that's what threw me off. I was like, I know. So that's what I'm talking about. This section created more questions than answers that I got. And so I was like, okay, last section of the book, you have a lot of heavy lifting to do to make me feel fulfilled. Yeah.
Well, that's how I felt about Blood Over Bright Haven, remember?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so
at least this one has 9 chapters, or 8 chapters, I think. Okay. And Blood Over Bright Haven had 5, so...
Yeah.
That left us a little, please come to full circle. Yeah. All right, you guys. So that was our 3 things that stuck out to us. Now let's move on to 2 character moments that had an impact on us. All right. So for me, the first one, I put them together because it happened together. And it was, it happened together. But it was Caroline. Well, it's really Caroline, but it was Caroline and Minerva. Okay. So this really stood out to me and rang a lot of bells in my head. And I think, Stephanie, that you're going to touch more on this later. But I couldn't help but feel so scared for Minerva when Caroline immediately offered her the scholarship. Because then we find out that she did the exact same thing to Noah before he disappeared. So, I mean, yes, Thomas. I'm sorry. I saw Noah there.
Yeah, Thomas.
So Noah tells her about Thomas getting the same offer. And so that really stood out to me because like that, I'm just like, that feeds more into my suspicion that we all have with Caroline and her involvement with the disappearances. I also kind of thought about maybe like the blacklist people that Noah mentioned. And it doesn't really say if those people were scholarship students or not. Because even one of them was, I think, was an elderly woman. So it wouldn't fit. But I was like, is there a connection there? I don't know. But I immediately was like, oh no, Minerva, like she she's after you. She has
Right.
honed in on you, because she even asked her, you're an only child, right? Your mom is far away, right? Asking her all these fucking
Yeah.
suspicious questions. So
Yeah.
that really stood out to me.
Yeah, this is also getting into my theory for later. But yeah, she did have a lot of questions and seemed to know a lot about Minerva that you wouldn't just know about her unless you are looking into her for some reason.
Yeah.
And that definitely had some red flags going up in my head too. So yeah, and I also had a pit in my stomach when they were having this conversation and she was offering her to pay for her school, and I'm just like, no, don't take it, don't do it, don't do
Yeah,
it.
right.
Yeah. I was like, well, that's suspicious. When they were
Yeah,
having the whole
big time.
conversation, I was like, I truly do just picture her acting as a little spider in the corner. Yes. Tell me all of your secrets. You're my next victim. I'm going to suck all of your blood out. That's what it was giving to me a little bit.
Yeah,
Totally.
So I don't know. And well, when they were having the conversation, I was like, oh, I don't like this. I don't like this. And then when Noah revealed that Thomas had the
Oh
same
my God,
conversation,
yeah.
I was like, oh, it's over. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
like, what are we doing? What's going on? What's going to happen? I
Right.
don't know.
It's unclear that whether or not she actually accepted it, though.
Yeah, she really
Yeah,
didn't
it's jury's out.
say either way. She
Yeah.
just took the information in and moved on.
She was like, oh, well, that's awfully generous of you. Not like,
Yeah.
oh, thank you so much, yes. Or she didn't
Right.
fall at her feet over it, you know?
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So,
Which
okay. So,
was probably a good thing.
yeah,
Yeah, good
honestly,
thing.
I really
Good
like
thing.
Nerva. Yeah. Okay. So that was my one character moment, you know, 2 for 1. But the last one that I have is on Valentin. Okay. I cannot believe he died, you guys.
Sweet
I
boy.
was so devastated. I really
Yeah.
was, especially
Yeah.
because their last conversation was him telling her that he was going to start properly courting her. I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
okay, so
Yeah.
very sad, you guys, very sad. So good guy after all, in my eyes. I know Ethan kind of still sees a little suspicion there.
Yeah, still got a question. I do.
No, I think he was good. I feel so bad for him, and the way that he was killed just sounded terrible, you guys. Like,
Awful.
I did not see this death coming. But this situation actually strengthens my suspicion on Arturo. Okay, so here's why. This was the last straw for Alba. After this, she was so devastated that she was like, "You're right. We're cursed. We're all gonna die if we don't leave here. Like, we need to leave." And like, even like tells Arturo all of this, and he was like, "Of course, my darling. I'll take you away to the city. We'll sell the farm. We'll get rid of everything." He's getting everything that he literally has been after since he first got there. And not only
Yeah.
that, but he's been making little sly comments like, whenever the first time she went to go see him after she got bitten, he goes, "Oh, Alba, why do you look so tired? You know, why all of a sudden do you look tired?" And I'm like, I feel like that heavy body that she felt was him. Because it started off
In
as
her
the
dream?
creature. Yeah. Because it
Yeah.
started off as a creature kissing her and caressing her. And, you know, there's been a lot of talk about Arturo and her flirting. So I'm like, I feel like it was
And she
him.
started to like fantasize about kissing him too.
Yeah.
Right
yeah.
before that dream happened.
So I think it was him. He's the one that did it. And he even sounded a little jealous when he saw the necklace that she was wearing wasn't his necklace. It was Valentin's necklace. So there was a little jealousy there. So I still think Arturo is the guy, and that just kind of solidified it for me. What y'all think?
Yeah. Yeah. And also like when she woke up from that dream, or no, it was like she saw red and knew instantly that something was wrong and had to go see Valentin right away. She can't just up and go. They have to get a horse ready and like get going, and she had to go change. So Arturo noticed that she was on her way out, and he's like, "Oh, I'll accompany you." And she was trying to give her mom this fake story of, he said he was going to get me something to help me sleep, so I'm going to go get it. But he seemed almost excited to me in that moment, almost like he knew that she was going to find him dead and was excited that that was going to be the last straw for her, you know?
And he slowed her down. He slowed her down because she wanted to immediately go, and he was like, "No, if we're gonna go, we're gonna do this right. You know, you have to look presentable, blah blah blah. I have to go change.
He
We're
said,
gonna
"I
go
have to
do
go
this.
get ready."
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And
So-
I mean, If he
I think
knows that there's no real reason to hurry, you know, we have all the time in the world.
I think he
Yeah,
slowed her
no big
down
deal.
because, like, had she gone without him, she would have made it in time to see him before he died, and maybe he would have told her what happened.
Sorry.
So had he,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, like he knew it was happening in the moment and she had her portent that something was wrong. Yeah.
yeah. So if he hadn't slowed her down, she would have seen him before he died.
Yeah.
So fuck Arturo.
Yeah, he's gross people.
All right.
Totally.
So those were my two character moments.
Okay. So my first one revolves around Tadeo. And so this last scene was so creepy and so much happened. So what Valentin and Alba had been planning was to try to trap the witch and shoot and kill her. And after Valentin died, she thought, no, I have to do it and I'm going to trap her myself. I need to end this, you know? And so that's what she set out to try to do, is trap this witch. And Valentin had told her how to try to do it with this rope, and you have to tie the knot and say a certain thing 12 times to trap her. So she went out and did this and trapped what she thought was the witch, but it actually turned out to be Tadeo, who had been turned into this creature that was like no natural creature. It was like an amalgamation of different things, and it was like creepy and weird. And she also had a pistol with her that she took from Tadeo's bedroom and shot it. And this creature with Tadeo's voice tried to stop her from killing it a couple of times, but then she thought to herself, no, this is what the witch does. It tries to trick you. I have to keep going. And she completed the whole thing. I don't know if you call it a spell or whatever, ritual.
Yeah.
And trapped and killed it. And then right after she killed it, it completely changed and turned into Tadeo. But here's the thing. Was it Tadeo though?
I know,
Like,
I was a
we
little
don't
suspicious too.
No, you know, I was
Yeah.
just like, because the witch does try to trick you. So like, this ritual is to trap a witch, but she thinks she accidentally trapped Tadeo doing this. So I'm just like, was it actually Tadeo, or was it the witch casting an illusion to make her think she trapped Tadeo? I don't know.
No,
You know?
I
What
still
do you
think
guys think?
that because she talked about the green eyes and how it was glowing, right? And so, like, she mentioned before that the glowing of the green eyes is a witch, right? So I think that maybe the witch turned him into that to trick her, to maybe, because I think that she was tricking Alba into maybe not killing her or him or whatever, or it, whenever started talking about it, right? Or whenever Tadeo started saying like, Alba, stop, Alba, stop. And so she knew it was him because she talked about, she's like, I can feel it. I know he's still alive. And so at the very end, she was like, I know that was him that I just killed. And that he had turned, the witch had turned Tadeo into that creature to get her to kill him. It was what we originally thought.
Well, jury's still out on this situation. Only because when they visited Jovita, she told them the witch like trapped him and ate his heart. So in my head, I'm like, Tadeo's no longer the brother that she
Well,
knew, you know? So if he was turned into this creature, like, okay, let's say that was Tadeo, this creature that the witch made him into. Maybe there was no way to revert back to Tadeo before that happened to him. Killing him just ended that curse that created this creature, but it wasn't really his alive form that that
So
she could have like probably saved or anything like that. In my head, I'm like, he was gone already,
Yeah.
and whatever he turned into was no longer the way she knew him as her brother, and now that's gone. You know,
I think you're right. I think that when the witch ate his heart or whatever, she took the heart and put it into that creature to make it him. But I think that whenever he was there lying on the floor, that was his soul. Maybe Alba released his soul to finally be free.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
because it
Maybe
did say that sorry, Ethan. It did say that the mist like went away, like it dissolved, you know? So maybe like
Yeah.
by killing that creature, she released that little soul from there and like finally released it, because I think you're right, that it was gone.
Yeah, because Jovita even said ate his heart and left his bones somewhere.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like he's no longer like a human flesh and blood, you know?
Yeah, because I always interpreted it like once the witch ate his heart, that it was that was how the witch got him to do her bidding, right? Like
Right,
you,
that
like
too.
I
Yeah.
own you
Yeah,
now.
like
you
the
know?
minion thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say something about today. As we're talking about this, I'm like, my suspicion of I could just be completely wrong, and I probably am, because Valentine appears to be dead. But
He's dead.
if he's
Leave
not,
him alone.
just for kicks, if he's not, what would the ultimate trick be than to tell Alba of how to catch a witch, but he's playing a trick on her the whole time? That it's not, that's not really accurate, because it doesn't seem like the minion took any heed to what she was doing, because he still pinned her down.
Yeah.
And so I don't know.
Well,
That was a little off to me too.
There is a question about, she even questioned it. She's like, how is it that you know this, but Jovita doesn't know this? And how is it, and you could be wrong, or you could have heard the story wrong. Like,
And even
I don't know
Jovita dismisses it as foolishness. Like, well, you're speaking foolishness.
I don't know that he's purposely trying to trick her. I just think that that's not the way to catch the witch. And I think that her visions, that's where it's going to come into play, where maybe she might have a vision of catching the witch, and that's how she ultimately does it.
Yeah.
Okay, and then my second thing was about Conrad. And Conrad is just looking more suspicious to me, especially after this section, because he keeps suspiciously showing up right after something weird or creepy happens to Minerva. So the first time, was in the last section, in the last episode, when we talked about she started feeling this presence outside of her door, and then Conrad showed up and invited her to go out with him. And then now in this section, it was when she was getting lost on the path to Briar's Common, and
She fell.
And she fell over at one point, and then Conrad showed up out of nowhere and helped her up.
Yeah.
How is this guy suspiciously like at the right place, right time when she's experiencing something weird like this?
Yeah.
So, that's just, again, making me feel like he's doing something or he's involved in something. And also, I know it's not necessarily evidence, but Thomas was his roommate and he disappeared.
Yeah.
And they were not getting along. Kept complaining about Conrad being loud and difficult to live with. So anyway, I'm just seeing some weird stuff coming from Conrad. What do you guys think?
I don't know. To me, he's still like a red herring. Like, he's the perfect person to suspect. And for that reason, I feel like I can't suspect him. Like, I need to be looking elsewhere. Like, it's trying to throw me off. Because to your point, like, he and Thomas didn't get along. And that would automatically put suspicion on him. And then he is in the right place at the right time when it comes to Minerva and her stuff. That puts really obvious suspicion on him.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Like, I feel like it fits. It does fit really well, like, with what you're saying. For me, whenever I read something like that, I just like
like,
okay,
too
where else should I be
obvious.
looking?
Right.
Like, I feel like it's trying,
Okay.
like, I need to be looking somewhere else where it's not as obvious.
Well, I mean, we're still thinking Caroline and Noah, so there's that. So
Yeah, well, maybe it's
how
all
do-
three,
I was gonna say, but if it's
Maybe they're
Caroline
all
and
in
Noah, yeah, like, then what's going on with Conrad? I don't know. Honestly,
Right.
dude, this actually threw me off. Like, this whole thing, like him showing
Okay.
up whenever she fell, and I'm like, okay, what the fuck? Like, what's going on with Conrad?
Right. And she was lost. And it's not like she could have gotten lost, because she does these rounds every night.
Exactly.
So something weird was going on with the path. And so how did he show up at that point
And
where
when
this path was
Ginny,
changing?
yeah, because
True.
when Ginny got lost on hers, nobody could find her ever. So it's not like they're like visible when you get lost in these paths. It's almost like you kind of disappear
Yeah.
from the real world. So why
Yeah.
is he there? Why did he show up?
I didn't pick up
Or-
on
It's
the
weird.
fact that it was she was getting lost on a changing path.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I must have missed that detail, like
Well, she
with the way
mentioned
she
it
was
very
describing it.
small. Yeah, she mentioned
Yeah.
it very small.
Yeah.
She goes, she says something about, I thought that, this was a shortcut, and I should have been in my dorm by now, but for some reason
Okay.
it just keeps going.
Yeah.
Okay.
And she
Yeah.
felt like
No,
she was
that does.
just going in circles.
Yeah, that does put some suspicion on Conrad. I'll agree.
Yeah.
I'll agree.
So well, we gotta see what his deal is on the third or the last section.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Something's going on with Conrad.
Yeah, for real.
All right. So my two, I'm going to say Carolyn, obviously, because she mentions having this list of scholarship recipients, and this is different from the blacklist that we were talking about earlier. This is a list that Carolyn has specifically about the Yates Foundation and their recipients for scholarship to attend that college. And we learn that Thomas was also involved in a very benevolent offer from Carolyn. And so all of the suspicion is still there for Carolyn. So I don't know. I don't know what to make of that. I think we'll find out more in the last section. But the other person that we haven't really talked about is Benjamin Hoffman. We don't really talk about him much, but it's interesting because most of the time that he's brought up outside, or the only time he's brought up outside of the 1934 timeline, which isn't often, he's brought up more, ironically, he's brought up more in the 1998 timeline.
By
is
Noah.
because apparently by Noah, and apparently he's still living, and Noah tells her a couple of times, you need to go visit Benjamin.
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering if when she does, if that's going to be like the final missing piece that she's missing. Because she seems to be going in a lot of different directions, but I think if she does go visit Benjamin, that it's going to fill in some of these gaps. And for that reason, I can't tell if Noah is truly trying to help her or if he's just weaving further into the web. I really can't tell. I really can't tell because he's making a specific point to tell her. He's like, and he's trying to brush it off like as if it's just in conversation. But he's like, you need to go visit Benjamin.
I
Benjamin.
still
that's true.
think that he is trying to help her because he's the one that got her an audience with Caroline, because I think that he wants her to read the manuscript to help her connect the dots, to help make those connections. And he's still around, like almost like a protector, right? Like he's like taking her home, making sure she gets there okay, checking on her, like even having conversations with her to make sure she's not alone. And then as to your point, he does point out the fact that, hey, why haven't you talked to Benjamin? Okay, we talked to Benjamin, So I think he's trying to help. But again, we talked about in our last episode that I see the walking red flags and I go towards them. So I don't know if this is that case or if he really is just trying to help.
Interesting.
It's hard to say. We won't know until we know, right?
I know. Yeah. Okay, guys. So that was our 2 character moments. Now let's get into our theory and prediction. And this is our last one because in our last episode, we are going to talk about our final rating. So we're hoping to see what comes out of our theories and predictions in the next section. So here's mine. And I kind of talked about it in the beginning when I brought up the colors and I brought up the her visions and stuff and just having these powers and stuff. I think that Alba and Minerva are witches, but I think they're good witches. Because we've talked a lot about all the bad things that's been happening. We talked about it, but we really haven't talked about Alba and her powers, her visions and stuff, and her portents, and Minerva's portents. Like, we really haven't put a lot of emphasis on that. But I was also thinking about Ginny and Thomas and how they both tried to fight off the evil. Ginny was talking to her mom, trying to get answers. She was talking to the spirits, she was trying to ward off, making all those like shapes and stuff. Like she was trying. And I think so was Thomas. That's why he was like doing all that research. But for whatever reason, they could not fight off the evil that was haunting them. But yet Alba survived. And we only know that she survived because of Minerva bringing her up all the time and how she was raised by her great grandmother. And we also know that she lived until she was 101. So we know she survived. So I think that the key to surviving is going to be that the fact that they're witches, only a good witch can fight off the bad witch, right? So I predict that Minerva will be the key to finally killing off whatever this threat is and revealing what truly happened. And I know that kind of sounds like an obvious, because then we know that the whole story is kind of revolving around Minerva. So that might be an obvious prediction. But I just feel like this section in particular really brought in those similarities between Alba and Minerva. And I just really kind of wanted to bring that up, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah,
think
that makes
that's
sense.
totally fair because, and I also brought up that I feel like Minerva might have a gift similar to what Alba had with her portents, and she even talks about possibly having portents too.
Yeah.
So I think you're on the right track with that, and I think that's very likely,
Yeah.
the
Agreed.
key to ending whatever is causing these students to go missing. Okay.
All right.
So mine, it has to do with Noah and again, I just like keep going back to Carolyn and I think like at this point we're like Carolyn for sure is
Yeah.
like a big player in this whole thing. But yeah, it's about, that moment when she offers the scholarship to Minerva. And I want to connect that to this list that Edgar and Betty had put together about people that went missing. I think we will find some connections, if not like a lot of matches with that list and the list of these students that received this scholarship from the Yates Foundation.
Yeah.
Because Noah explained to Minerva after she told him about this offer from Carolyn that Carolyn likes to personally look through the paperwork from these potential students for the scholarship and do her own research and personally pick the people out for this scholarship. And then something else that I noticed that Carolyn keeps mentioning to Minerva is about her blood. Usually it's when she's talking about Noah kind of being a bad student, not really that bright, and he can barely make it through his classes with all these tutors and resources that they throw at him, and he's barely skirting by in school. And she says it's something in the blood, he's not like you, it's in your blood. And she's just so hung up on this notion of her blood. That's feeling a little witchy to me. And the fact that Noah said that she personally likes to pick out the students for the scholarship, I'm just like, is she picking out people whose blood she thinks will be most, I don't know, beneficial for her, or I don't know. What do I just, I
wondering
think
if
it has
there's-
something to do with that.
Yeah, now that you're saying that, I'm wondering if there's some similarity that Thomas and Minerva share. If they were targeted both by Carolyn, besides their situation.
Well, they were both into horror. That's what
Yeah.
Noah was telling Minerva, was that they're both into the horror stories, and he was taking those classes too with all those books.
Yeah, and well, so Thomas was tutoring Noah on an art class that they were taking together.
A religion
But Thomas
class.
was also, I thought it was an art class.
It was religion.
Because that's
of the
why you
pure,
had those.
It was
of the what?
religion. It was religion of the New England Puritans or something like that. Because even Minerva asked Noah,
Yeah.
she was like, "Why did you take that class?" He said, "Oh, I needed an elective or something like that." And I'm just, and
No, that's what made me sus of Noah, that particular,
because of the class that he took.
because he was targeting a class that Thomas had.
Oh, okay.
Right, like
Because
almost like
Carolyn had already
made
picked him out and said, you need to get close to him.
Right.
And
Right.
hey,
True.
he's doing the same thing with Minerva.
That's true.
Yeah, but anyway, all that to say is that like Carolyn also says something about like when she says that weird comment about like it's in the blood, and she also says that Thomas was like her, ambitious, intelligent, bright.
Yeah.
And then again, the comment about the blood, which is so creepy. Like, why are
Yeah.
you saying that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
That is
mean, I
creepy.
kind of thought that there could have been a similarity between the scholarship people and the students on the blacklist. But the only reason that I thought maybe no was because one of the missing people happened to be like an elderly woman, but it was
Yeah.
close to Temperance Landing too. So I was like, okay, maybe that was an old student who used to go there and is just now elderly,
Yeah.
I think it could just be like she's a missing person, because I think you're right, Steph. I think
Right.
they have lists both involving missing people, and now they're going to cross-reference them and see if there's
Right.
any connections and
Yeah.
similarities.
And also,
So,
Edgar and Betty were making this list based on like the circumstances of these
Mm-hmm.
people's disappearances, but they were kind of trying to decipher just like weird circumstances.
Yeah.
Some of those might just be coincidental, but others might actually match up with this list that Carolyn has of like people she wants to extend this scholarship to, you
Yeah.
know?
True.
So it may not be a perfect match.
I honestly cannot wait to see what gets revealed about Carolyn. Like, we've had all these freaking
Yeah.
suspicions about her. Like, I need to know what the heck she's actually up to, y'all.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. All right. So I'm just going to go off of what I mentioned earlier, is that I'm predicting Benjamin Hoffman is going to be a crucial missing piece here, that's going to fill in the rest of what Minerva is searching for. There's going to be like a question, and only by making this visit will that be answered. So I don't know what that might be, but I feel like it's there. I feel like that's going to be a missing piece.
Okay, book friends. So that was the end of part 3 of our deep dive discussion on The Bewitching by Silvia Moreno-Garcia. But it does not end there. Please, let's keep this discussion going. We want to hear your thoughts. Like, are you guys pointing things out that we missed? Are you guys noticing things that we didn't discuss? You know, like, what are your thoughts? And that's, again, what we always say. That's what this whole podcast is about. So interact with us on social media. We are Books Between Friends Pod on all platforms. Let us know what you think.
All right, y'all. On our final episode of The Bewitching by Silvia Moreno-Garcia, the curse comes full circle in our final deep dive. From Alva's final showdown with the darkness that's haunted her family to the chilling revelations uncovered by Minerva in 1998, the threads between timelines finally unravel. Secrets buried for generations come to light, and the truth behind the blight and the witch will leave you spellbound. Join us as we close out this haunting atmospheric story and share our final thoughts and reviews.
Yay.
We'll see you there.
Yay.